Good morning. My name is Donna Marie Collins. I am the hearing examiner that will be presiding over this morning's special exception hearing. This is a special exception, SEZ 2024-00005. I was the hearing examiner on the original special exception approving this, so I'm very familiar with this case. I noticed that we don't have any members of the public here, so I'm going to go right to administering the oath and we can begin with the presentation. Is that acceptable? Okay, you all know the final decision-making authority rests with me. So at the conclusion of this hearing, I will prepare a final decision and it will be dispatched via email. Okay, if you will be speaking on the record, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony and evidence you place into the record this morning will be the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Wayne Arnold, a certified planner with Grady Minor & Associates. I'm here representing the applicant, which is Creighton Construction. Lauren Brown is here representing Creighton. And we have a short presentation. I won't belabor a lot of the details. I know that you did hear this case almost a year ago, and we've been in the development order review, and there were some refinements made to the site plan. And because of the condition of the approval, which said it had to be substantially in compliance, staff felt that the changes were significant enough that we should come back through the hearing examiner process, even though it didn't affect the location of those fuel pumps that were the subject of the special exception.
Right, okay.
So I'll just go through a brief presentation. Subject properties, part of the Island Park Shopping Center. You've been around long enough. There used to be a bank building that sat on this parcel with drive-through facilities located at the corner of Island Park Road and US 41. Property Zone C1, it allows for a facility with fuel pumps. Your code doesn't allow us to have the 8 fuel facilities that we choose to have, and that's why we were here last time for the special exception. You recommended approval of that with a couple of conditions, which is why we're here today. So we did make some changes. We've moved the car wash building a little closer to the convenience store where we previously had parking. We've moved some parking spaces around. We added some stormwater detention, and we made some adjustments to the dumpster location as part of our development review. This kind of highlights on the original approved plan the area that's changing. I created a side-by-side here that highlights. On the left is the approved plan. On the right is what we're proposing, and you can see the car wash facility is located in a little bit different facility location. Does this have a pointer on it, by the way?
I think it does.
It's, I can see that. I can get mine to point that out. So the area.
main difference is the relocation of the car wash and the introduction of a stormwater management area,
The
larger?
stormwater expansion was a little bit larger.
Okay,
So this is the new car wash location here, and there is no drive aisle between it. You can see over here the car wash building was separated by a drive aisle.
okay.
So we made those changes. Dumpster location slightly different. So not,
Where was the dumpster before?
it was located generally in the same area, but now moving here. It just
They made you come
reoriented.
back through the public hearing process for this.
Well, we're here.
All right, well, we'll get you through.
So again, this conceptual site plan overlay, it's still in the same general location. I think the legal description changed very slightly just to accommodate some of the changes to the outline. As you can see, there's no members of the public here. We have a landscape plan that created buffers around the perimeter. Those are largely unchanged. I think we have some minor modifications that are in-house for staff review, which we filed the 48-hour letter, and I think you received a copy of that. Hopefully you did. And it was simply to ask for modification. When we submitted this, I think Beth Workman had been involved, and we suggested that rather than have the exact same language that said we had to be substantially in compliance, could we insert some language that allowed us to make certain administrative deviations and adjustments through the process that might not trigger us to come back through the public
Yeah, I
hearing
think
process.
the way that condition is intended to be interpreted that, you know, as long as there isn't additional off-site impacts,
Mhm.
you can pretty much alter the site.
Yeah.
But yes, I'll certainly take your language into consideration and incorporate it.
Yeah, I would appreciate it. I mean, I think you can see we have no immediate neighbors other than parking lot. So some of the adjustments were to make sure that the parking and the drive aisles were in alignment.
So is there sufficient parking to support the square footage of the remaining shopping center, even with taking out this, I know it used to be a bank, but.
Yes. Been working with staff, and I haven't been directly involved in the development order process, but it's my understanding that that issue is a non-issue for staff.
Okay, great.
So with that, that's kind of our brief presentation. Answer any additional questions. Like I said, we're not married to the language we suggested in the 48-hour letter, but I think that it goes to allowing us their administrative deviations, administrative amendments that we can make in working with staff through the land development code, and we'd appreciate that opportunity rather than to have to come back through this process.
All right, I certainly will consider it.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm ready for staff's presentation.
Staff would like to submit items.
Okay, thank you. So staff's PowerPoint will be Staff Exhibit 2. Exhibit 1 is the staff report.
Madam Chair?
And the affidavit of publication, what is this other thing I have here?
That is the affidavit of publication.
So that is evidence published. All right, let's begin.
Good morning, Madam Hearing Examiner. For the record, my name is Khalil Mohammed, a planner with the zoning section of Lee County Community Development. I've been accepted as an expert witness in the Lee County Land Development Code as well as the Lee Plan Comprehensive Plan, and my resume is currently on file. The case we're hearing this morning is Special Exception 2024-00005 for the 7-Eleven in the Island Park Shopping Center. The request states that a special exception to permit a modification to a previously approved special exception 2022-00008, to permit a convenience food and beverage store with more than the allowable fuel pumps. 8 is listed in our land development code as the allowable and would require special exception to permit 16 or anything higher than the allowed 8. The applicant, Grady Minor, on behalf of Creighton Companies, has filed this request. Property information. The property is known under one strap number and is located at the address 16510 South Tamiami Trail. The property is approximately 1.84 acres, and their major intersection is South Tamiami Trail and Island Park Road. The property's future land use is suburban. The property is currently zoned commercial, C1 specifically. LDC section 34844 designates permitted uses for the conventional commercial zoning districts, and 19 specifically limits those specific uses. In particular, convenience food and beverage limits to 8 pumps unless a greater number is approved as part of a special exception, which we are hearing today. The surrounding properties. To the north of the subject property are additional properties zoned commercial, C1, developed with various commercial uses. To the east of the subject property, there are properties in the zoning districts C1, CC, as well as CPD, and those are additionally various commercial uses. To the south and west, there are areas zoned C1 as well as RM2, vacant C1 properties to the south. And to the west of the subject property are residential communities known as Timberwood Village, as well as Forest Country Club to the west. LDC section 34145C3 special exception. These are the criteria that this application has been reviewed in regard to. So our Lee Plan policy 1.1.5 specifies suburban future land use category and what best would be categorized as such. The subject property is surrounded by additional commercial zoned property as well as residential zoning districts to the south and west. Lead plan policies continued. Policy 4.1.1 specifies the availability of water. Any new commercial development in excess of 30,000 square feet of gross leasable floor area must connect to public water. This site specifically is not proposed to exceed 30,000 square feet, so this site would not necessarily have to connect to those public available water. Policy 4.1.2 requires commercial projects generating more than 5,000 gallons of sewage water per day to connect to sanitary sewer. This specific 7-Eleven store will be connecting to sanitary sewer, and that sanitary sewer would be provided by Forest Utilities. Policy 5.1.5 protects existing and future residential areas. This further protects those residential areas abutting to the south and west. Lead Plan Goal 6 permits orderly and well-planned commercial development at appropriate locations within the county, which this site is an appropriate location to accommodate a commercial use. Policy 6.1.1, all applications for commercial development will be reviewed and evaluated as to those criteria presented in 2 slides prior. Policy 6.1.4, commercial development will be approved only when compatible with adjacent existing and proposed land uses. This parcel in particular does have pretty much compatible all around, abutting those commercial parcels as well. Policy 6.1.7 prohibits commercial developments from locating in such a way as to open new areas to premature, scattered, or stripped development. Being that this is already this is an out parcel within a larger commercial parcel, that potential for any strip development has been limited severely. Policy 6.1.11 encourages the upgrading or revitalization of deteriorating commercial areas. Being that this parcel is being redeveloped, its prior use is no longer active, and this is essentially a revitalization of this land that has not been used. I would like to mention that the property is located within the coastal high hazard area. It's a bit odd. I think the site might have been improved enough to no longer be identified in that coastal high hazard, but I would like to make note that the property is surrounded very much so by areas located in the coastal high hazard. Buffering and screening, at the moment there is currently a concurrent administrative amendment to allow for deviations from the land development code to allow specific requests made by the applicant in regards to buffering and screening, and that's being reviewed currently. The public available services, public utilities, potable water provided by Lee County Utilities, sanitary sewers provided by Forest Utilities, solid waste is provided to the site. Emergency services, there is a fire station within 4/10 of a mile. Lee County Sheriff's about 3 miles. Public transit within 300 feet. And there are proposed to be 2 main accesses to this development with interconnection through the shopping center that it is an out parcel of. As we've mentioned, within the applicant's 48-hour letter, there are requests to modify the language for condition 1. And then condition 2 speaks to the special exception approval. And at this moment, that is all I've got for my presentation, ma'am.
All right, thank you very much
Thank you.
for a well-prepared staff report and PowerPoint, and I feel well-prepared to render a decision in this case. I don't have any questions. As I said, I'm familiar with the site. I'm familiar with the case as I handled it when it came through the first time around. I will look at the changes, and I will try to render a decision in the coming days.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.